Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Need to restock inventory, cover seasonal dips, or manage payroll? OnDeck's small business line of credit provides immediate access to funds, up to $200,000, exactly when your business needs it. With flexible draws, transparent pricing, and full control over repayment, you can tackle unexpected expenses without missing a beat. Apply today at ondeck.com, and funds could be available as soon as tomorrow. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween Podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez, and you're listening to episode 26 of our special series, The Dark Record, where we uncover history's eeriest stories, one strange and unsettling case at a time. Picture the sea at night. The horizon is black, the waves heavy and endless. A radio crackles to life with a voice calling for help, breaking through static with words that chill the blood. Somewhere out there, a ship drifts in silence, its crew unseen but in desperate need. Rescuers respond, but what they find is not a battle with storm or enemy. It is something far stranger. A vessel adrift, its sailors all dead, their faces twisted in terror, as if frozen in the very moment of their last breath. The sea swallows many stories, but this one has refused to sink. It has lingered in newspapers, in maritime lore, and in whispers among those who know the darker tales of the ocean. The next entry into the dark record, the ghost ship Ourang Medan. Let's begin. The legend of the Ourang Medan begins with a signal. In the late 1940s, ships traveling through the busy Strait of Malacca, off the coasts of Malaysia and Sumatra, picked up a series of distress messages. The first was chilling in its brevity: SOS from Ourang Medan. We float, all officers including the captain, dead in chart room and on the bridge. Probably whole crew dead. What followed was stranger still. A final message came across in broken Morse code. 2 words and then silence. I die. The identity of the operator who tapped out those last words has never been known. What is certain is that after that signal, nothing more was heard. The messages were picked up by multiple ships in the region, among them the American merchant vessel Silver Star. The Silver Star responded, charting a course toward the drifting freighter. When her crew came alongside the Ourang Medan, they found a ship riding low but upright in the water. No distress rockets had been fired. No crew appeared on deck. Only silence. Deciding to board, a party of sailors from the Silver Star crossed over. What they found has haunted maritime lore ever since. The decks were littered with bodies. The crew of the Ourang Medan lay dead where they had fallen, their arms outstretched, their eyes wide open, mouths gaping as if frozen mid-scream. Reports claimed their expressions showed sheer terror, as though they had seen something unspeakable in their final moments. Even the ship's dog was found dead, bared teeth still snarling at some invisible threat. Most unsettling of all, there were no signs of injury. No gunfire, no blood, no wounds. The men were dead without violence, struck down by some force no one could name. The temperature, according to later retellings, felt unusually cold despite the tropical heat, as if the ship itself had been drained of life. The Silver Star crew decided the only course was to tow the vessel to port for investigation. But before that could happen, disaster struck. Smoke began rising from the Ourang Medan's lower decks. Fire spread rapidly, driving the boarding party back. Moments later, a violent explosion ripped through the freighter. The Silver Star cut her lines just in time to avoid being destroyed with her. The ship burned, broke apart, and sank beneath the waves, taking whatever evidence might have explained her fate down into the depths of the Strait of Malacca. No wreck has ever been recovered. No official records list the ship as existing. And yet, for decades, the story of her distress call and the frozen faces of her crew has persisted, becoming one of the most enduring maritime mysteries of the 20th century. Like many enduring legends, the story of the Ourang Medan is tangled in conflicting details. The version most often retold places the events in June 1947 in the Strait of Malacca, with the American freighter Silver Star responding to the distress call. But the further one digs into the accounts, the less certain the details become. One of the earliest references to the story appeared not in 1947, but in 1940, in an Italian publication by journalist Silvio Shirley. His version placed the ship near the Solomon Islands, years before the better-known Malacca Strait account. Later, in 1948, Dutch newspapers picked up the story, presenting new details and shifting the scene to Southeast Asia. By then, the ship was firmly described as the Ourang Medan, a Dutch freighter whose name means Man of Medan, a port city in Sumatra. The Dutch reports included the dramatic Morse code sequence, the description of the crew's bodies, and the fiery explosion that sent the ship to the bottom. The details didn't stop evolving there. In some versions, the date is listed as February 1948 rather than June. Other tellings claim the rescuing ship was not the Silver Star, but a British vessel, or even that there were multiple ships who heard the SOS. Some reports introduce the story of a lone survivor, an unnamed sailor supposedly found clinging to debris after the explosion. According to these versions, the man told rescuers that the ship's cargo held bad chemicals that leaked and poisoned the crew. Before further questions could be asked, the survivor allegedly died, taking any real explanation with him. Even official records don't clarify matters. In 1952, the U.S. Coast Guard's Proceedings of the Merchant Marine Council published an article referencing the Ourang Medan. The piece summarized the legend, repeating the details of the distress call and the crew's horrifying condition. But the report also admitted there was no confirmation of the ship's existence, and that the account might be exaggerated or entirely fictional. This inconsistency is a hallmark of the legend. There is no record of the ship in Lloyd's Register of Shipping, in Dutch maritime archives, or in contemporary shipping logs. The Silver Star itself has no log entries confirming such a rescue, and yet the story continued to circulate, carried forward by newspapers, maritime journals, and later, books of the unexplained. The constant shifting of dates, places, and details makes the truth nearly impossible to pin down. Was the ship near the Solomon Islands in 1940? Or the Malacca Strait in 1947? Was there a lone survivor with damning testimony, or was that embellishment added later to heighten the drama? Even the exact wording of the famous Morse message changes between tellings. What is clear is that the legend of the Ourang Medan grew in the telling. Each retelling added something, an extra detail, a survivor, a shift in date, that made the story more vivid but less reliable. Over time, The inconsistencies became part of the mystery itself, ensuring that the ghost ship story was never nailed down, but always alive in speculation.
Cash flow crunch? OnDeck Small Business Line of Credit gives your business immediate access to funds up to $200,000 right when you need it. Cover seasonal dips, manage payroll, restock inventory, or tackle unexpected expenses without missing a beat. With flexible draws, transparent pricing, and control over repayment, get funded quickly and confidently. Apply today at OnDeck.com. Funds could be available as soon as tomorrow. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Do you love the strange, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying? Horrifying History takes you on a chilling journey into the dark corners of the past, where history and horror collide. From haunted places and ghostly legends to unsolved mysteries and terrifyingly true stories, you will uncover the twisted facts that history books leave out. Who were the real monsters behind infamous legends? What dark secrets lie buried in the pages of history? Every episode, we reveal the eerie truths that will send shivers down your spine. Are you brave enough to face the darkness? Horrifying History, available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. But don't wait for too long. The past might just come looking for you. Listen if you dare.
For a story so unsettling, it's no surprise that investigators and storytellers alike have searched for rational explanations. If the Ourang Medan truly existed, what could have killed the crew so suddenly, without leaving visible marks, and caused the ship to explode shortly afterward? One of the most common theories is that the ship was carrying hazardous cargo. Some versions claim it was smuggling chemicals such as potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin, both highly dangerous if stored improperly. If seawater leaked into the hold, chemical reactions could have produced toxic gases. The crew, exposed without warning, might have collapsed in seconds. The terror on their faces could have been the body's final reflexes as they gasped for air. And the explosion, later, might have been caused when the volatile cargo ignited under heat and pressure. A related theory focuses on carbon monoxide poisoning. If the ship's boiler system malfunctioned, leaking carbon monoxide into the confined spaces below deck, the crew could have asphyxiated quickly. Carbon monoxide kills silently, leaving little trace on the body. This could explain the absence of wounds or injuries reported by the Silver Star's boarding party. The explosion might then have been triggered by the same malfunction, or by fires breaking out after the crew had already perished. There are also suggestions that the ship carried chemical weapons left over from World War II. In this version, the Ourang Medan was part of illegal post-war transport, moving materials like nerve agents or phosgene gas. If a leak occurred, the result could have been catastrophic for the crew. This theory has gained traction in some circles because it aligns with the secrecy surrounding the case. If officials knew the ship was carrying banned substances, they would have had incentive to erase records of its existence. Another explanation is less sinister but still deadly: natural gas leaks. Methane or other gases trapped in poorly ventilated holds could have suffocated the crew. Combined with tropical heat, the buildup might also have created conditions ripe for an explosion once rescuers opened hatches or attempted a tow. The problem with all of these theories is evidence. With the ship destroyed, no cargo was ever recovered. No shipping manifests have surfaced. The lack of any record of the vessel in maritime registries leaves nothing to test or verify. These explanations are plausible, even compelling, but they rest on the assumption that the ship was real in the first place. Still, the appeal of these theories is strong because they offer closure. They explain the horror in natural terms: chemicals, poison, accident, without invoking the supernatural. They allow us to imagine the Ourang Medan as a tragedy born of human error and hazardous cargo, rather than something unearthly. But even these rational stories stumble against the silence of the archives. If the Ourang Medan carried such dangerous cargo, why do no official records exist of her voyage at all? For all the fascination surrounding the Ourang Medan, there is one problem that overshadows every theory. There is no proof the ship ever existed. Unlike other famous disasters, from the Titanic to the Mary Celeste, the Ourang Medan leaves behind no registry entries, no official logbooks, not even a confirmed photograph. It appears in stories, but not in records. The strongest evidence against the tale is the absence of the ship in Lloyd's Register of Shipping, the standard reference for merchant vessels of the time. Neither Dutch maritime archives nor port records from Medan list a vessel by that name. Even the supposed rescuing ship, the Silver Star, kept no log entries describing the event. If the Silver Star had truly participated in such a dramatic rescue and witnessed the destruction of another vessel, it seems unlikely the incident would have gone unrecorded. The earliest known version of the story was published in 1940 by Italian journalist Silvio Shirley, years before the official 1947 account. Shirley described a ghostly ship incident in the Solomon Islands, not the Strait of Malacca. Later retellings in Dutch newspapers during 1948 expanded and dramatized the story, relocating it to Southeast Asia and adding details such as the Morse messages and the fire. The changes suggest a story that grew with each retelling, shaped less by evidence than by the desire to captivate readers. Some researchers believe Shirley may have invented the tale outright. His accounts were never corroborated by independent investigation, and later writers often repeated his words without verification. The fact that the ship's name, Ourang Medan, translates simply to Man of Medan in Malay, it adds to suspicions. It sounds authentic enough to readers unfamiliar with the region, but may have been a convenient invention. The U.S. Coast Guard's 1952 article in Proceedings of the Merchant Marine Council lent credibility to the legend, but even that piece admitted the story might be exaggerated or fictional. It repeated the dramatic details but stopped short of declaring the incident factual. Instead, it seemed to acknowledge that the Ourang Medan was already part of maritime lore, whether or not it had ever been real. This raises a deeper question: why has the story endured at all if the evidence is so thin? Part of the answer may lie in the appeal of the ghost ship narrative. Tales of derelict vessels adrift at sea, their crews mysteriously vanished or dead, have captured imaginations for centuries. From the Flying Dutchman to the Mary Celeste, ghost ship legends speak to our fear of the ocean as a place that can swallow people whole without explanation. The Ourang Medan fits neatly into that tradition. The skeptical perspective does not prove the ship never sailed, but it highlights how fragile the case is. With no wreckage, no manifests, and no official logs, the Ourang Medan remains unanchored in history. It may be less a maritime disaster and more a story, a legend born in newspapers and kept alive because it is simply too chilling to let go. Whether the Ourang Medan was real or fabricated, its story has secured a permanent place in the pantheon of maritime mysteries. It sits alongside the Mary Celeste, the Flying Dutchman, and other ghost ship legends, tales where the sea seems to guard secrets that no investigation can fully uncover. Part of the story's staying power comes from the imagery. The distress call, with its blunt, chilling message, "I die, the crew frozen in terror, scattered across the decks, the unexplained fire that consumed the ship before it could be examined. Each of these details is dramatic on its own. Together, they form a perfect ghost story, one that requires no embellishment to haunt the imagination. Even skeptics who dismiss the tale as fiction admit the narrative is unforgettable. Over time, the Ourang Medan has been retold in countless ways. It appeared in newspaper accounts in the late 1940s, then in maritime journals during the 1950s. Books on mysteries of the sea and the paranormal picked it up in the decades that followed. By the 1970s, it was firmly entrenched in compilations of unexplained events, a staple of popular culture alongside Bermuda Triangle stories and UFO sightings. The tale has also found new life in the digital age. The internet spread it to new audiences with blogs, podcasts, and YouTube channels retelling the events with ominous flair. Each version, whether cautious or sensational, helps cement the Ourang Medan as one of the 20th century's great unsolved maritime legends. Cultural adaptations have gone even further. The story directly inspired the video game Man of Medan, released in 2019 as part of the Dark Pictures anthology. In the game, players explore a ghost ship clearly modeled on the Ourang Medan, complete with terrified corpses and supernatural overtones. While the game leans heavily into horror, its very existence shows how much the legend continues to resonate. Ripley's Believe It or Not has also highlighted the case, framing it as a chilling example of unexplained tragedy at sea. Museums, maritime mystery collections, and even travel blogs referencing Medan in Sumatra mention the story, despite the lack of hard evidence. The ship that may never have existed has nevertheless become a tourist attraction in legend alone. What's striking is that the Ourang Medan doesn't rely on proof to thrive. The absence of evidence seems to enhance the legend, leaving a void that imagination rushes to fill. In this way, the ship has become more than a ghost story. It is a cultural symbol of the unknowable, a reminder that not all mysteries are solved by archives or science. The legacy of the Ourang Medan is not anchored in history, but in storytelling. Whether it was a ship lost to chemicals, a fabrication from a journalist's pen, or a myth passed down for dramatic effect, it continues to live on. And as long as people are drawn to the sea's darker tales, the name Ourang Medan will surface, a phantom ship sailing forever in rumor and lore.
On Deck is built to back small businesses like yours. Whether you're buying equipment, expanding your team, or bridging cash flow gaps, On Deck's loans up to $250,000 help make it happen fast. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau and earning thousands of 5-star Trustpilot reviews, On Deck delivers funding you can count on. Apply in minutes at OnDeck.com. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by On Deck or Celtic Bank. On Deck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Do you love the strange, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying? Horrifying History takes you on a chilling journey into the dark corners of the past, where history and horror collide. From haunted places and ghostly legends to unsolved mysteries and terrifyingly true stories, you will uncover the twisted facts that history books leave out. Who were the real monsters behind infamous legends? What dark secrets lie buried in the pages of history? Every episode, we reveal the eerie truths that will send shivers down your spine. Are you brave enough to face the darkness? Horrifying History, available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. But don't wait for too long. The past might just come looking for you. Listen if you dare.
The story of the Ourang Medan may never be untangled, and perhaps that's why it endures. The sea has always been a stage for mystery. It covers most of our planet, yet much of it remains unexplored. When a ship disappears beneath the waves, when sailors vanish without explanation, it feels almost natural to fill the silence with legend. The Ourang Medan offers everything a ghost ship tale needs: a desperate distress call, a crew frozen in expressions of terror, a sudden fiery end, and a vanishing into the depths. Each detail invites speculation, and together they paint a picture of a tragedy that seems to resist rational explanation. The absence of evidence, the missing wreck, the absent shipping logs, does not diminish the story, but makes it stronger. The gaps leave room for fear, imagination, and storytelling to thrive. It's also a reminder of how fragile truth can be when carried only in words. If Silvio Shirley's articles in 1940 were indeed the seed of the tale, they grew into a myth so large that even official maritime journals repeated it a decade later. Newspapers, books, and now the internet have kept the story alive, each retelling shaping it slightly differently. What began as a rumor may have become a fact simply through repetition. And yet, even if it began as fiction, the Ourang Medan now feels real in the cultural sense. For me, that is what makes this story important. It is not about whether the ship truly sailed or whether chemicals or carbon monoxide killed the crew. It is about how we remember, how we tell stories, and how mystery itself can take on a life as real as any documented history. The Ourang Medan is as much a ghost of narrative as it is a ghost ship, haunting our imagination long after the alleged vessel slipped beneath the waves. The case also touches on something universal: the fear of dying suddenly without reason. To imagine a ship full of sailors struck down in an instant, eyes wide, mouths frozen in a silent scream, is to confront one of our oldest terrors: that death can come without warning, leaving only confusion in its wake. Whether caused by poison gas, fire, or fabrication, the image endures. In the end, the Ourang Medan is less about answers and more about what it represents. It speaks to our fear of the sea's vast indifference, our fascination with unsolved mysteries, and our need to give shape to the unknown. Maybe it was real, maybe it was not, but the legend itself has weight, and it has sailed far beyond the Strait of Malacca into the collective imagination. That brings us to the end of episode 26 of The Dark Record. We followed the story of the Ourang Medan, a ghost ship that may never have existed, yet has haunted maritime lore for decades. A desperate distress call, a crew frozen in terror, and a sudden explosion that erased the vessel before answers could be found. Whether it was tragedy, chemical accident, or nothing more than a story spun into legend, the Ourang Medan remains one of the sea's darkest mysteries. Remembered, retold, and now added to the record. Next time, we leave the ocean behind and enter the shadows of a very different kind of haunting. In 1949, a boy in Maryland became the center of a series of disturbing events: objects moving on their own, guttural voices, violent outbursts. The case would become known as the Exorcism of Roland Doe, and it would later inspire one of the most famous horror stories ever told, The Exorcist. We'll trace the chilling events and the controversy that still surrounds them. Until then, I'm Lyle Perez, and this has been the Halloween Podcast presenting The Dark Record. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps keep the show alive and weird. You can also explore sources, extras, and more at our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Halloween Podcast or at our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, keep your eyes on the shadows, And remember, some ships never make it to port, but their silence still drifts on the waves. Have a good night.
On Deck is built to back small businesses like yours. Whether you're buying equipment, expanding your team, or bridging cash flow gaps, On Deck's loans up to $250,000 help make it happen fast. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau and earning thousands of 5-star Trustpilot reviews, On Deck delivers funding you can count on. Apply in minutes at ondeck.com. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by On Deck or Celtic Bank. On Deck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Do you love the strange, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying? Horrifying History takes you on a chilling journey into the dark corners of the past, where history and horror collide. From haunted places and ghostly legends to unsolved mysteries and terrifyingly true stories, you will uncover the twisted facts that history books leave out. Who were the real monsters behind infamous legends? What dark secrets lie buried in the pages of history? Every episode, we reveal the eerie truths that will send shivers down your spine. Are you brave enough to face the darkness? Horrifying History, available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. But don't wait for too long. The past might just come looking for you. Listen if you dare.